Hello traveller, and welcome to Cryptid Central. I hope you are well. As you already know, we humans are just one species to call this planet home. We share this world with countless other life forms, some similar to ourselves, and others very different indeed. In this video, we'll be looking at 10 cryptids that could be among those species yet to be found. Number 10. The Ratman of Southend. In the English town of Southend-on-Sea, there is a bizarre cryptid, one that is said to make appearances in pedestrian walkways at night. The legend has two versions. One version goes that the creature is the ghost of a dead homeless man. Many years ago, an elderly homeless man used to take shelter in a certain underpass in the town in order to escape from the rain and the biting cold at night. One night, the old man was accosted by a group of teenagers who occasionally hassled him for their own sadistic amusement. On this particular night, things became much more violent than they usually would. The teenagers beat the old man severely and stole his blanket. As he lay there dying, succumbing to his injuries and hypothermia, dozens of rats began to gather around his body, nibbling away at his cold flesh. After he finally died, he was devoured almost entirely by the rats, but then he came back. His spirit took the form of a rat, having spent his dying moments among them, and locals began reporting sightings of a ghostly rat man haunting the very same underpass. The second version of the legend goes that in the mid-20th century, the town of Southend had a mayor that was a known serial adulterer. He had fathered numerous illegitimate children, and one day, a child was born with hideous deformities. It had a long, rat-like snout and a long, spindly tail. Keeping the deformed child a secret, along with all the other children, was already a difficult task. But as the child grew older, it began to develop a taste for human flesh. Perhaps the mayor had been cursed by his wife or a former lover. The mayor knew that he had to keep the child hidden, but how? Then an idea struck him. He would order the construction of an underpass, a project that in itself wouldn't be seen as suspicious, but would then secretly have a concealed entrance to a chamber installed where he could hide the child. He would then tell the child that it could only leave the chamber at night in order to feed on unfortunate passers-by. Number 9. The Corfu Island Creature. We go now to the Greek island of Corfu, where there is a sea-dwelling cryptid known as the Corfu Island Creature, also known as the Grecian Dolphin. The creature was first photographed in 2015 in a Corfu sea cave. A British tourist by the name of Harvey Robertson noticed a strange colouring to the water and attempted to photograph it with his phone. It was only later he realised, when looking through the pictures he had taken, that in two of these photos a mysterious animal could be seen at the surface. It had grey skin, an elongated snout and small black eyes. There have been several theories put forward to explain this animal. Some believe that it's a deformed dolphin, mutated by toxic waste or other forms of pollution. Others say that it's an alien life form. Some believe it could be a surviving prehistoric animal, as it closely resembles the believed to be extinct Ambulocetus. It has also been alleged that the creature was nothing more than a plastic freeboard fender, which is attached to boats as a bumper to prevent damage, that had broken off and floated away. The creature does loosely resemble this piece of boating equipment, which would be very convenient for any organisations seeking to cover up the creature's existence. And also, if it were just a piece of plastic, why would it only be visible for a few seconds and then disappear again under the water? Would it not simply float along the surface aimlessly if it were a piece of plastic? This certainly looks more like a curious cryptid that came for a quick look at the boat, saw nothing of interest, and then disappeared again. Number 8. The Cactus Cat. Far from Corfu and across the Atlantic Ocean, we have a cryptid known as the Cactus Cat, which makes its home in the southwestern United States. It has been described as a bobcat-like animal that lives in the deserts of California, Nevada, and New Mexico, with a few sightings also being reported in Colorado. The Cactus Cat has thorn-like fur, sharp claws, a branched tail, and sharp bones protruding from its legs. They were first described by cowboys and pioneers in the 19th century, who observed that this strange, spiky desert cat would use its claws to slash open cacti and then drink the sap. While cactus cat attacks are rare, they have happened, with some cowboys waking up in the night to find welts on their bodies from the cat's barbed tail. It also has a distinctive and haunting wail that can usually be heard at night, along with the sound of their sharp leg bones rubbing together as they prowl the southwestern deserts. Number 7. Tsuchinoko. On the other side of the world, in the mountainous regions of western Japan, we have a cryptid named the Tsuchinoko, which when translated means child of hammer or dirt child. These snake-like creatures measure between 30 and 80 centimeters long and are said to live in the watery caves of Shikoku and Honshu. They look like a common snake, but with a distinctive wide girth not typical of any other known snake species. It is said that you can detect the Tsuchinoko's presence by listening out for mouse-like squeaks coming from rivers, a sound that they are believed to make. If you are in the mountainous areas of western Japan and happen to see one of these creatures in the wild, it would be best not to approach it. They are highly venomous. Number 6. The Ozark Howler. The Ozark Howler is a creature said to inhabit the Ozark region of the state of Arkansas, United States. It is bear-like in shape and size with a grey-coloured shaggy coat and is said to have red glowing eyes. The earliest known report of the Ozark Howler is from the 1800s, when a man by the name of Daniel Boone came face to face with the creature in Missouri. Boone is said to have fired his gun at the creature, but what happened after that is unknown. The Ozark Howler was seen in Newton County, Arkansas in 2011, and most recently in 2015 at Devil's Den State Park. In October 2014, an emergency call was made by a motorist who said that they had nearly collided with a large, unidentifiable mammal. The recorded phone call reveals that armed state wildlife officers were immediately dispatched to investigate the bear-sized, grey, fast-running animal. However, no further details are available. Number 5. The Red Ghost. Back once again to the United States of America, the deserts of Arizona are home to a ghostly cryptid with a particularly disturbing story. The Red Ghost, also known as Phantasma Colorado, appears as a large, red-coloured, demonic camel-like beast with a human skeleton attached to its back. The first sighting of the Red Ghost was in 1883 at a ranch near Eagle Creek in southeastern Arizona. Early one morning, two men rode out to check on their livestock, leaving their wives at the ranch with the children. Not long before noon, one of the men's wives went down to the spring to fetch a bucket of water, accompanied by two dogs, while the other remained in the house to watch the children. Suddenly, one of the dogs began to bark ferociously. The woman inside the house heard a blood-curdling scream. Looking out the window, she saw what she described as a huge, reddish-hued beast run by, being ridden by a devilish-looking skeletal creature. The frightened woman barricaded herself and the children in the house and waited anxiously for the men to return. That night they found the body of the other woman, trampled to death. The next day tracks were found, along with cloven hoof prints much larger than those of a horse, and long strands of reddish-coloured hair. Some say that the Red Ghost is the spirit of a US Army Camel Corps soldier who had an intense phobia of camels. In order to help him get over his fear, his commanding officer ordered that he be tied to one of the camels. Unfortunately, this particular camel managed to escape its pen, and charged off into the desert with the poor soldier still attached. Unable to free himself, the unfortunate soldier died of dehydration in the desert, with the camel dying shortly after. Their combined spirits, eternally intertwined, now roam the deserts of Arizona, attacking anyone who unwisely tries to approach them. Number 4. The Giant of Kandahar. More soldiers, more desert, but this time the story takes place in the Middle Eastern country of Afghanistan, where in 2002 a US Army squad went missing near the city of Kandahar. Shortly after, a Special Ops task force was sent to the area to find out what had happened. They walked along a mountainous trail until they eventually reached the entrance to a large cave. Outside of it were broken pieces of US Army equipment which had been scattered around the clearing. This was a strange sight indeed. The men were wondering what could have done this, and were about to enter the large cave when suddenly they were confronted by a giant humanoid who emerged from inside the cave entrance and began to attack them. It was described as being between 12 and 15 feet tall, with red hair, 2 rows of teeth and 6 digits on each hand, and was equipped with a huge spear which it used to impale one of the task force soldiers. It took 30 seconds of continuous, concentrated fire before the giant was brought down. After it had been killed, the corpse was airlifted by helicopter back to base, but was apparently never seen again. The men were forced to sign non-disclosure agreements. All evidence of this event had been covered up or destroyed until several years later, when one of the witnesses broke his silence and talked about his experience publicly. Number 3. The Lizard Man of Scape or Swamp. Trading the deserts of Afghanistan for the swamps of Louisiana, USA, we have another humanoid cryptid that is said to attack humans on sight, the Lizard Man of Scape or a Swamp. The Lizard Man is said to be a 7 feet tall creature with 3 digits on each hand, long black nails, green rough skin and red or orange eyes. The first reported modern sighting was in 1987 by a man named George Holliman Jr. However, it was the 1988 report by a 17-year-old Louisiana native by the name of Christopher Davis that made the Lizard Man of Scape or a Swamp famous. According to Davis, he had stopped on a road bordering Scape or a swamp to change a tyre which had blown out. When he was finishing up, he reported having heard a thumping noise from behind him, and turned around to see the creature running towards him. Davis quickly dived back into the car and locked the doors, at which point the creature tried to grab at the car and then jumped onto its roof as he tried to escape, clinging onto it as David swerved from side to side in an effort to throw it off. Eventually, the creature let go and ran off into the darkness. After he returned home, Davis's side view mirror was found to be badly damaged, and scratch marks were found on the car's roof. Numerous other sightings have been reported, with the most recent being in 2011. Some say that the Lizard Man is a reptilian alien, others say that it's a highly evolved dinosaur humanoid. However, with the last sighting having occurred over 10 years ago, it's possible that we may never know for sure. Number 2. The Mantis Man. Still in the USA, but this time on the East Coast, we head over to the state of New Jersey, where the Jersey Devil isn't the only cryptid to call the state's forests its home. The Mantis Man, a 7 feet tall bug-like creature, has been spotted only 3 times, twice by fishermen near bodies of water, and once by a man driving near the Musconetgong River in New Jersey. The Mantis Man has been described as resembling a giant praying mantis, with its large eyes, small head and long arms held in a praying fashion. Unlike many cryptids that have been known to attack humans, this cryptid seems to be rather shy, as each time it's been spotted by humans it quickly disappears. Rather than being an actual giant praying mantis, most cryptozoologists believe it more likely that the Mantis Man is an alien of the insectoid variety, or perhaps even a grey alien. Its head shape and large eyes would be a strong argument for this theory. Number 1. The Kasai Rex. The Kasai Rex is a gigantic theropod that was first spotted in the Democratic Republic of the Congo in 1932. It is thought to be a surviving relative of the Tyrannosaurus rex, and is one of several surviving dinosaur cryptids said to inhabit the Congo, along with another legendary survivor from the prehistoric age, Mokele Mbembe. In 1932, famed Swedish explorer and hunter John Johansson and his servant were camping in the Congo when he decided he wanted to head out and hunt a huge elephant. They headed out and crossed a large swamp before finally reaching a savanna in the Kasai Valley. Upon reaching the valley, it seemed as though no animals were present until Johansson's servant began shouting with excitement as he spotted 2 elephants grazing. Johansson saw this as his opportunity until something struck him as rather odd. There were just 2 elephants and no others. Elephants travel in herds, so this was indeed a peculiar sight. Suddenly, after a moment, something around 40 meters away caught Johansson's eye. In the underbrush, something was moving, something large. Another elephant, perhaps? Johansson watched for a moment until suddenly a large, strange-looking creature jumped out. It was reddish in colour with black stripes. It had strong-looking hind legs designed for speed, 2 small forearms with 2 fingers on each hand, and a long snout with numerous sharp teeth. It was heading towards the 2 elephants, and Johansson, almost paralysed with shock, decided to aim instead for the large dinosaur-like creature that had appeared before him. He fired 3 times, with just 1 shot hitting the beast. It then turned and ran. After this encounter, Johansson decided to head back to camp, but first, they had to cross back over the swamp that they had crossed earlier. As they were crossing the swamp, they heard a splash and, believing it to be a crocodile, they stopped and looked around. After a few moments, they saw around 20 meters away the very same dinosaur creature tearing the leg off of a rhinoceros that it had killed not long before. Johansson's servant ran away, terrified, taking the shotgun with him. Johansson now had no weapon, but he did have a camera. He aimed it at the dinosaur and took this photo. Upon hearing the click of the camera, the dinosaur quickly submerged itself under the swamp water and disappeared, leaving the rhinoceros carcass floating in a pool of blood. That dinosaur was the Kasai Rex. So there you have it, traveller. 10 cryptids, each one different from the last, but all with one thing in common. You wouldn't want to find yourself face to face with any of them on a dark night. We have seen in nature many bizarre things that have been proven as fact, though I must confess, I would be more than happy to see the red ghost proven as fiction.